can't stop the train, baby. Woo!
Welcome you back to another edition of VV Gaming's The Losers Bracket. This is now round 38, and we've got a full preview of MLG's DC event that's coming up this weekend in store for you guys today. So we'll be previewing what's going on in StarCraft, Brawl, and Halo 3, which we're about to start with right now.
And we have with us to talk Halo, Adam, IceVayne, zLogic, Ray, and Justin, Spikemouth.
How's it going? It's nice to be on the show.
What's up, everybody?
All right, guys. So this coming weekend, we've got a huge event coming up for Halo. Halo 3 is going to be on the circuit, of course, like normal. But things are going to be a little bit spicier than normal since we'll be having Reach for the first time on the circuit, which is technically a Combine event, but, you know, have both of these games going on. What are your opinions? Let's start out with Halo 3, since the game is, you know, the classic version. Who do you see as the favorites? Any upsets in the making? What are your guys' thoughts?
I personally think that, you know, the favorites have to be Final Boss and Instinct, probably. They've been getting the lands in, and they've been pretty much at the top the whole season so far.
I will agree with Ray on that, especially with Final Boss winning Raleigh last event. That was a huge event for them. I think they'll be bringing the momentum from Raleigh and turning it into DC for hopefully another event victory.
You know, I definitely see Final Boss and Instinct being the top two favorites. However, I also see Triggers Down being up there as well, only because they came out swinging last event, and they definitely surprised a lot of people. I was definitely surprised. And they've been practicing really hard since that event, so I definitely see them being up there as well. So I think one of those three are definitely going to take it.
What team would you guys say, if they got hot, could possibly make it into that top two and fight for the win?
I'm just going to go ahead and throw it out there and say VVV Ambush.
I was just going to say, what do you guys think of your chances? But you know what? That's good. That's good. Keeping the energy high. I like it. I'm hoping that you guys can back that up this weekend.
A team I would see placing after us if we win the event, I would definitely see Status Quo coming in hot with them consistently always placing top 4 every event so far. I can see them just breaking that barrier this event and doing some big things.
I don't know. I'm still going to stick with Triggers Down only because of how they performed last event. I mean, they got knocked in the losers bracket early last event, and then they came out swinging and went all the way up to top 4. So I definitely see them doing really well if they catch fire. I could definitely see them in the top 2.
What teams do you guys think have been practicing the most?
I would say Carbon and Warriors. Carbon has hosted their Red Bull LAN again this event, and I believe went to the 6-team LAN at the LAN network. And Warriors as well has been practicing quite a lot online and also went to the Red Bull LAN themselves as well.
Yeah, I'd have to agree and say that teams that have practiced the most have probably been, I would say, straight Final Boss, because they've been doing a lot of the LANs, the 3-team LANs. I know Straight did the 3-team LAN and the 6-team LAN. I've seen on Twitter members of their team posting, like, asking for scrims on Halo 3.
For me, I'd have to say Carbon and Triggers Down. Carbon, they hosted the Red Bull LAN, and they practiced really hard there. On Triggers Down, they've had a couple of LANs already, and not to mention they keep LANing even when they're not together as a full team. So I think they've been practicing really hard so far, and I think it'll definitely show come event.
Now the big question is, do you think Halo Reach has been a distraction for any teams?
Yes, I see Halo Reach being quite a big distraction for a lot of the teams. Yesterday we played 3 members of Heaven and Earth, and they just seemed a little bit sloppy on Halo 3 just because, you know, this is like the first time they're putting Halo 3 since Reach has come out. So we'll see who's really prepared for Halo 3 when it comes down to crunch time.
It seems like with the lack of teams being on Halo 3 to scrim each other, it just seems like a lot of the top teams are saying, we'll either just get the LAN or we'll try and practice online with the few people that still play the MLG playlist. It'll definitely be interesting to see how the teams come out at DC.
I mean, I think no one's going to be 100% prepared because of Reach, especially the first couple of weeks. Nobody played Halo 3. It was just all Reach. And then I can definitely tell from my team's point of view that we practiced. Well, we got one scrim in so far, one scrim with the full team, and that was against Believe the Hype, and we beat them. But other than that, I mean, my team doesn't play on Halo 3 at all.
Now, if I remember correctly, there's no way that anybody that's playing Halo 3 Pro in the past this season can actually play Halo Reach at this coming event, if I remember correctly. But if you guys could refresh our memories on what's going on with that, because I can't imagine these pros would spend too much time playing Halo Reach and, lose out on the chance for placing at DC and maybe getting a spot in the Nationals. But could you tell us what the rules were exactly again on playing Halo Reach at this coming event for former Halo 3 pros?
Well, the ruling as it stands right now is that any player that's been pro in Halo 3 is not allowed to attend the combines and compete. So with this kind of half and half event, with half pro circuit event for Halo 3, half combine, it's either the pros played Halo 3 or didn't play at all and just waited for Dallas for Reach.
Right now as well, there's a good handful of people in the top 16 that are honestly just going just because they're going to get a stipend out of it and they're going to have points for next event. Where these players can't play at the Combine, they're just going to go and milk this event for what it's worth and then go to the next event and then hopefully come out swinging then.
All right, guys, let's do a quick team-by-team breakdown. Short, sweet, to the point. Talk to me. Instinct, Lunchbox, Cloud, Roy, how are they going to do?
I think they're going to at least be in the finals for this event. You're going to see their consistent play style like you've seen at every other event, and hopefully they bounce right back on the ball and get first place.
They're always going to be dominant. Nothing's going to be changed with them. Like I said, the only team that's actually going to give them competition will be Final Boss. But other than that, I mean, they're still going to be just as dominant as they were at the beginning of the year.
I personally think Instinct's definitely a favorite to be in the finals, but I can see them dipping to like a third place finish because I believe that Final Boss has like found their groove and that they'll be the team to beat in DC for sure. And then Triggers Down has been doing really well at the lands, so.
All right, we've got two predictions for the finals for Instinct, and one saying, you know what, don't be surprised they slip down to third. All right, a lot of people's favorite, Final Boss. Talk to me.
I think you're going to see Final Boss back in their groove again like they were in Halo 2. Only thing I'm concerned about for them is if they're going to be a little too cocky and overlook some teams and get upset early in the bracket.
I don't think they're dropping the series. They're going to just go straight through the event, no problem.
Yeah, I'm going to have to agree with Justin and just say that I believe they're like above the competition right now, which is how they've been playing at the lands.
All right, let's look at a team that I've heard a lot of things about, some good, some bad. Ace, Enable, Assault, Flamesword. Talk to me about status quo.
One word comes to mind for that team is just consistency. They consistently have always placed top 4 every event. They get along in and out of game. I see them placing top 4 again.
I definitely see them placing top 4. When they're on fire, though, they can definitely push for that top 2. They haven't been able to prove that yet, but, I mean, one of these, within the next 2 events, they're going to prove it, and they're going to come out strong.
I would have to agree with both Adam and Justin. Definitely saying that they're a top 4 caliber team, but they've been, doing the hard work, working their way up the whole season. They got the 3rd seed right now, even though they've been placing like 4th place the past couple events. They've been so close to breaking that top 3. They've lost for top 3 by 2 kills the last 2 events. So I'm going to be watching them to see if they can turn it around so they could finally break into that top 3,
So you guys are very much positive about status quo. So to all you naysayers out there, nobody on this panel is saying anything negative about status quo. All right, next we come to Neighbor, Tots, Hysteria, Best Man, Triggers Down. What do you think?
I think they're a little bit of a slow starting team on Friday and Saturday, depending on what they play their first round. Depending if they can get past that first match pretty quick, they're on fire team. They can place top 3 whenever they want, but if they have negative attitudes throughout the event, they can drop down as low as top 8, top 6.
They definitely strive in Championship Sunday, and so those first 2 days usually matter the most. They usually start really slow, and that's where they get their attitudes, but going into Sunday, they're dominant. They proved it last event. They proved it in the past. If they get in Championship Sunday on a groove, they're going to go straight to top 3, even top 2.
Yeah, I've been watching Triggers Down a lot on the LAN network, and it just seems like it'll all depend on, like Adam said, their attitudes, like especially with Hysteria and Neighbor. It seems like those two are the ones that, start going at it with each other the most. So as long as they can keep their attitudes in check, they'll definitely do well.
All right, now I'm going to ask you guys 5 through 8. We're talking about number 5, Believe the Hype, 6, Dynasty, 7, Straight Rippin', 8, Carbon. If you were to pick one team to break into the top 4, who would it be and why?
Believe the Hype, hands down. They got the most slaying power, and Demon D and Maniac have been a duo since they won their national championship together. zLogic's a really individual skilled player, and so is Snipedown. They all seem to really work well together in game.
Yeah, I definitely agree with Adam. Believe the Hype is definitely overpowering compared to the rest of the teams in that category. They've all been there before, and they've all proven themselves at national championships. I think under the pressure and under the lights, they'll definitely come out in top 4.
I'm going to stray away from the path a little bit. I can see Straight Rippin' breaking into the top 4, if anything, because they have a roster full of veterans, and when it comes down to it, they're going to know how to play, when to play clutch, when to do certain things. So they'll be able to push over the wall, whereas I could see teams like Believe the Hype or Dynasty not really choking, I would say, but having their inexperience not get them to where they want to be this event.
Well, let's talk about the bottom part of the bracket. We're talking about Heaven and Earth, Warriors, Purgatory, Darkest Hour, obviously you gentlemen as Ambush, Genesis, the other guys, and Category 5. Here's my question. If you take yourself out of the equation, pick me 2 teams that you think could break into the top 8, and I want to know why.
I would say Heaven, Earth, and Warriors. Just mathematically by points, I would put them in the best possibility to break into the top 8 and be at nationals. Heaven, Earth with Strong Side being their leader and their captain, and Anarchy being that veteran experience. He's been on national championship teams and plays very well under the clutch. Warriors, they've been practicing a lot online, and they've been at the Carbon Land. Guaranteed they've learned a lot from the Carbon Land themselves as individuals and as a team on what they should work on.
I would go with definitely Warriors, but also Purgatory. Warriors back-to-back top 8 finishes. They've proven themselves already. But Purgatory really came out swinging last event, and it was really great to see Mimic actually, on a team that was structured like that to place that well. Because there was a lot of egos on that team, and nobody really thought it was going to work out. And to see them all be on the same page and dominate like they did, I think if they keep that same mentality for this event, I think they'll definitely place in the top 8.
Other than going by points and who I think will be at nationals for this event, I can see out of those teams, Warriors doing well because they've placed top 5 last 2 events. They got 5th both events. And with Break and Nocturnal Colonel, they've been together for a long time. So those 2 are going to know how to win matches and get into the top 8. For the second team, I would have to go with Purgatory as well, is breaking into the top 8. They placed 8th last event, and they have Karma on their team, who's a veteran, has been to national championships before. He's going to know what it takes to get his team up into the top 8, where they have a chance to get those points that they need to qualify for nationals.
Do you guys see any AM teams coming out of the AM bracket and making any kind of upsets in the pro bracket?
I don't see it at all. I mean, I think the only Halo 3 amateur team that I know is going is the South team, and I don't think they'll do well. I think they're going to get beat easily. So, but other than that, I don't really know of any other AM teams going.
Yeah, I agree with Justin on that. I don't really see many AM teams on a level to compete with some of the top 16 teams. Maybe some of the teams that are like 15th and 16th, they're just going to get the stipend and get more Halo 3 points so they can get a better seed for Reach. They might be able to contend with those teams, but teams that are taking it serious, probably not.
Yeah, and I also think that any of the AM players that could have pushed for that top 16 placing just switched right over to Reach to begin with, to get that head start.
It sounds bad, but honestly, that one AM team, the Southern team, they're the only ones actually thinking smart about it. Rather than going and getting combine points, they're just going to go and get pro points and then use them for next event. So that's actually the smarter idea, which a lot of teams didn't actually think about.
Very true. Now switching over to the Reach side of things, do you guys know of any teams that you think could be the favorites for this event? What are your thoughts so far on the upcoming Reach Combine?
A couple of teams that stand out for me, it's a shame that, Skyline's not going to be there, VVV Skyline. They would have done really well. I think they could have played top 4. But teams at Coup and the Insanes have been doing really well. Those two really stuck out in gate battles, and I think they're going to at least place top 4 easily.
For me, my two favorite teams going into the Combine Reach events probably been, Victoria's Secret and Golden Boy's team. I don't know what they're exactly going under as. I think maybe the Last Resistance. Those two teams have been practicing pretty hard on Reach ever since the MLG settings have come out.
Yeah, I'm gonna agree with Justin and say I've seen the Insanes doing really well in game battles and the team Zeko. But one team I'm really looking forward to watching is Amazin'. They're former Gears of War 2 pros, and they've actually won a couple events in Gears 2. And I'm interested to see how they transition over to, Halo when they haven't competed in Halo before. And same with some of the Call of Duty players. It'll just be really interesting to see how they can transfer over.
I want to just throw this out here. Is there a team that you guys know that have some quote-unquote known gamers in it, but you just don't think are going to do well at all? Or I'm just going to go out on a limb and say they're going to suck ass?
I got one off the top of my head, and I'm sure the others can agree with me. Z Nightmare. I swear, that kid's probably the worst Reach player I've ever played against, and all he does is complain that the DMR is being used rather than the needle rifle. That kid's not placing top 16 ever again.
I will go out on a limb here and say probably Prodigy X, considering he's never really played much of a Halo game before, and he's probably going with a pretty confident attitude that he's going to just do amazing at this game. I don't see why he would.
He's so good at all the other games, right?
Of course, he's a multi-genre gamer. He's the best.
What was actually interesting to me, this is going on both who's going to do well and who's not, is that the European teams, what I noticed is that Royalty Gaming, when Reaction made that move with Baxter, is that they are actually doing better now than what Power is doing. So I think in an upset, I think Power is not going to place that well, and I think Royalty Gaming is going to actually stand out over them in the long run for the best European team in America.
Well, with all of that being said, the one thing I want to talk about is VVV Ambush. Adam, Ray, this is your new team coming into Washington, D.C. This is sort of your last shot at Halo 3 before you start Reach. Adam, give me a rundown. How is Ambush doing? How have you guys been practicing? What's the status of the team?
Well, we've been practicing pretty hard for the last week and a half. Halo 3, just always been on it. Besides them going to a local last Saturday for Reach, we've been on Halo 3 and not playing Reach at all. We've gotten 2-3 scrims in, only dropped about one game. And, everything's been going out great. The team's chemistry is magnificent. The games, we're really locating on what our mistakes are in-game and out-of-game. Just getting down the communication. I think, we all know this is our last chance to make a big boom going into this event. And, we want to win this event, so we'll be at Nationals for Halo 3.
Yeah, I'm feeling really confident about the team as well, because I know with bringing in Brian, which is Sneaky Beaver, and Corey, which is Straight Stick, those two together work really, really well, and especially with having George, which is Frosty, and Ryan being brothers, the three of them living all next to each other, they'll be able to sit next to each other, work things out. They've teamed before. Adam and George get along so well in and out of game. I think everything will just come together so well, especially with Straight Stick being one of the most individually skilled players on the circuit. And I think that everything will mesh very well and that they'll have the potential to be definitely in the top 2 in the finals.
Let's talk a little bit about individual skill. As the coach, you have a slightly different perspective than Adam does. And so I'm going to ask each of you, let's give Ambush 2 grades. A grade on individual skill, meaning how overall skilled are they, and then a grade on teamwork.
As a grade on individual skill, I would definitely give them an A. I've seen all 4 of them pull off crazy plays in events like when it's crunch time. And as far as teamwork, I would definitely give them an A+, because I subbed for them a couple of times we've played, and their communication and their teamwork is just so much better a huge improvement over Raleigh even. So I'm really confident in the team for this event for sure.
Adam, what do you feel?
Definitely as individual skill for our team, I give us an A. For teamwork wise, I do give us an A as well in that department, but until we're perfect in every department, then I'll give us an A plus. And if we win the event, then I'll give us an A plus then.
All right, so for now, you're going to give it an A minus on the teamwork?
Yeah, we'll go with an A minus.
You guys are both really confident, which I think is really important coming into this event. So I want to say on behalf of everybody here, I want to wish you both the best of luck. I'll see you again shortly. When this podcast comes out, I will be on my way to DC. I'll be bearing some gifts. You guys will both be sporting the new Spectrum 5XBs. Yours to keep, courtesy of SteelSeries. So hopefully that will give you a slight advantage in communication.
Thank you. Thanks to you, Jerry, and to SteelSeries for hooking us up. It's really great. I know that Adam and Ultra used the Spectrum 5Bs at the last event in Raleigh, and they worked really well. So I'm looking forward to checking them out.
Again, thank you, Jerry, for everything you've done for me and my team. And, of course, thank you, SteelSeries, for providing us with such great equipment for the event. Thanks, guys, and see you in D.C.
Hey, Jerry. Hey, Jerry, how about me?
Yeah, that's what needed to be said that second in the podcast, didn't it? I'm such a dick.
So last week we had VVV Cheese on the show. This week we have VVV Cheese on the show. But they're two different people. Cheese last week...
How much cheese can VVV Gaming have? It's funny you mention it. VVV Cheese, and that would be with an E, who is a brawler, is here, versus VVV Cheese with an A, who is a StarCraft player. Cheese, Albert, how are you?
Hey, what's going on? I'm good. I am a little mad that there's a second Cheese, though, because I keep getting messages from people thinking that I'm him, so it's a little annoying.
You don't happen to own a bus, do you?
I do not own a bus, but I'm sure this is a leading question.
Well, this helps also differentiate between the two types of cheeses we have in VVV. We have bus cheese, and we have non-bus cheese. You're the non-bus cheese.
Okay, I'll keep that in mind.
So here we are, coming into MLGDC. So tell me, who's going to be there? What are your predictions?
Well, this is going to be a lot bigger than Raleigh was. There's more people signed up in advance than Raleigh had at the door, so this is going to be a lot more hype. As far as I know, every single pro player is attending, and every single person who's ever beaten Mewtwo King in a set, except for Brood, because he's from Japan, will be there. So if there's going to be an upset, it's going to be here. I don't know if there will be, because, Jason, VV Mewtwo King, is pretty ridiculous. But if it's going to happen, it's going to happen here.
It's like everybody always wants VV Mewtwo King to lose because he always wins, and I can respect that. If you were to predict somebody to upset him, are you willing to suspect who might be that person?
I would have to put my money on Larry. He did it at Apex. I think he can do it again. He's certainly capable of doing it again. Just whether or not he's super on point like he was at Apex is the deciding factor. I hear Anti, who's number one player in my region and arguably one of the best 5 in the country, but he never travels, may be going to DC. And if he is probably the only Meta Knight that can beat Mewtwo King. So if he's there, that's going to be interesting.
So this very well could be the best turnout for Brawl.
As of now, there are 162 signed up, and I know of a lot of people who are going to buy the passes at the door. So I think we could hit 200. I mean, we did almost max out the bracket 2 events ago, so this should rival that. I mean, we were too short 2 events ago, and I'm hoping that we do max it out this time. That would be really, really cool.
Any notable people going to be missed? Anybody not showing up that we know about?
As far as I know, everyone is going to be here. A few people missed the last event. A few people haven't been there in a few events. As far as I know, every single person that has attended an MLG and is notable will be there. And even some people who haven't been to MLGs yet, people like Junebug, will all be there, and they're all ready to... It's going to be crazy.
Let's talk about seeding going into the event.
Well, the pro players, I do not believe has changed in any major way since the last event. So the top 16 will still be the same top 16 from the last event, though all of them will be here this time. So the bracket's going to be really, really, really tough for anyone who doesn't have points. And I'm looking to see a lot of really good players place way lower than they probably should because of the way the seeding works and because they haven't attended a lot of events. As far as people who are seated high, I mean, I got a 15th place finish last time, so I'm actually have a lot of seeding points. I'm in the top 32. People like Will, who does the DI podcast, is also in the top 32, right above me. A lot of players like that could be pulling upsets, have really good brackets, have the way to actually place well now because they have points. So now that we've been kind of far into the season and the seeding points are a little more settled than they have been at the last events, I'm looking forward to seeing, people placing where they belong, except for those who were not smart enough to go to other MLGs.
All right, Cheese, we're going to break it down. Let's talk about the top 4 seeds. Mewtwo King, where's he going to be? How do you think he's going to do? How do you think his time in Australia affected him? Talk to me.
If there's a time he's going to lose, it's this event. He's still going to be in first place after this in points, so he's going into Dallas as number 1 seed no matter what. If there's a chance that he doesn't win, it's this event. He might get second. He could lose 2 sets, but I don't see it happening too likely. But maybe. I think Ally will place top 5. Lee Martin will place top 5. Tyrant will probably place top 8. That's the top 4 seeds. I don't see Nick Riddle placing as high as he has been because people are starting to figure out that matchup. I mean, I beat him with my mediocre Meta Knight because I just learned the matchup a lot. So I think other people have done that as well. Then he won't be placing nearly as high as he has been. Outside of the top 4 and looking at the top 16, DSF hasn't been to an event since the first one, but he's coming back again. So I'm looking at him to place top 10 again. ADHD has only been to 2 of the events. He will place top 5, probably top 7, top 8, something like that. Big Lou has been on a downward spiral since the first event. He's 13th seed right now. I think he'll fall out of the pro seedings. I think other than that, everyone will remain in the pro status, but they might get shuffled around a little bit.
So where do you think Havoc will end up? You didn't mention Havoc. Talk to me. I think he's going to do even better. Good prediction, bad prediction?
Great prediction. He is my dark horse to take top 3. He beat Ally last event. I think he can do it again, and I think he could probably pull an upset on one of the top Meta Knights. If there's a dark horse, it's Havoc. I just hope he doesn't run into, oh my god, I did it last time, I can do it again, and then play poorly syndrome, which I've seen hurt way too many players in the past, especially Nick Riddle. That happened to Nick Riddle after he beat Ally the first time.
Have there been any doubles team changes that may affect who the top team comes out of DC?
As far as I know, the major placing teams are all still together. Mewtwo King and Ally, Shaky and Nick Riddle, Fail and ADHD, they're all still teaming for this event, so they look to place high again. That's my prediction for top 3. Mike Hayes and Havoc, BBB Synchronicity, they should place well as well, top 5 if I had to guess. I'm not sure what some of the other big name players like Adamus or Larry or Tyrant or Lee Martin, even BB Lee Martin, I'm not sure what they're doing, but they're all pretty much guaranteed top 8, whoever they team with. So doubles at MLG will probably be fairly predictable, pretty much the same as last events because no one's really changed teams. As far as I know, there's not been any big name teams that aren't teaming or are teaming. So should be pretty much the same as last events, though this time VV Synchronicity is together and they weren't together for the last event because Havoc had some flight issues or something and he couldn't stay. So this should be fun to watch as always. Mewtwo King and Ally won't lose. They don't lose. I don't think you can beat them. I'm not sure it's possible.
Time to throw you on the spot, Cheese. How do you think you're going to place in singles?
I'm going to win. Okay, no, I'm totally kidding. I would love to win, but that's not going to happen. I would like to place top 16, top 10 again, hopefully without any drama this time, because I've gotten, nothing but a little bit of hate on that since then. So I'd like to prove everybody wrong. I got a little chip on my shoulder for this event. I'd like to place as well or better than I did last time without some help from the rule set.
Well, Cheese, I'm very excited that we got to bring you onto the show today. Clear up that little name issue with that other Cheese from the organization. We're all looking forward to seeing you this weekend, cheering you on. Best of luck to the VV Brawl division, and we'll see you there. Kick some ass.
Great. I can't wait to see you guys there. It's going to be really fun, and I really hope to do well, and everyone else will, I'm sure.
All right, everybody. Instead of doing a rant this week, I want to talk to you about a new initiative that VV Gaming is going to be launching. It's going to be called the VV Gaming Coaching Academy. What we're going to be doing is we're going to be training and certifying coaches for competitive play. I've been working on creating a system with some of VV staff to help train coaches and certify them. I don't want to say too much about this because it's going to be rolled out in really specific phases, but the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to put out a lot of information for those interested in coaching. And then we're going to hold 2 coaching, basically like semesters where we cover various things. These things are going to include how to motivate a team, how to identify team problems, how to control conversation, how to help your team at an event, before an event. We're going to cover things like how you relate to each team member, how you get them to be focused on developing and improving. So we're going to cover a lot of those things. And basically it's going to be all conducted online. And then there will be final interviews to receive your certification where you're basically going to be put in a role-playing situation. So you will be basically asked about certain problems that your team is having, and we'll ask to hear how you will fix them. One thing that we all know is that a lot of coaches that are really good don't get the credit they deserve. And I think part of that reason is because nobody's been able to identify those coaches that are really good from the coaches who just stand behind somebody and yell. And we look forward to releasing that, so stay tuned to the VV site. You're going to hear more about that. And also stay tuned for the brand new VV site, which is going to be launched here very, very shortly.
Last but not least, we've got the brand new title to MLG. We've only had one event for it thus far. Huck was the champion last time round. This time round, DC, we've got a few more awesome players that are showing up to the table. StarCraft 2. Joining us now, we've got VVV Time. He's actually going to be competing in DC this weekend. Time, how are you doing today, sir?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Very good, very good. Thanks for joining us on the Losers Bracket today, my friend. So, we've got a ton of awesome players that are going to be at the event this weekend. Who, in your opinion, are your clear-cut favorites?
My clear-cut favorites for this event are probably Idra, who, is playing the game for a living, so he's practicing all day. Huck, who won the first MLG event in StarCraft 2. And Kiwikaki and QXC are also really strong. They both did really well at IEM, and they also did well at the first MLG event in Raleigh.
If you had to pick one favorite, you can only pick one. Who are you going with?
Idra.
That's a pretty interesting pick. I mean, Idra has been showing quite a bit of charisma lately, getting quite a few nice tournament showings. Any sort of pick, though, of a person in the bracket that might possibly not be as well known but could have a great showing at the event?
Well, my favorite player is definitely Kiwikaki, and I think he's very good and very innovative. So I think he could definitely win. But he got second, so is he unknown enough?
So, Time, tell us, who from VV Gaming is going to be competing, and who's going to be there?
All right, so I'm going to be going. GXZ and Noxy are going to be going. And a few of the people that we hang out with in Vent are going to be observing and spectating.
How do you think you're going to do?
I'm definitely aiming to make top 8. I did pretty well last time. I tied for 17th, but I think since it was my first LAN event, I wasn't as prepared as I will be this time.
Let's talk a little bit about IEM. You weren't able to attend IEM. VV Murder did attend, and he won't be able to make DC. How do you think Murder did? What was your breakdown of the IEM event?
Well, so I definitely don't think Murder did as well as he could have. He said that he was really nervous because it was his first LAN event. But he also feels like he learned a lot, and he was inspired to get a lot better after playing there. Like today he's been playing all day, played for like 10 hours today.
He can't feel too bad about his performance, though, because, look, he did take a game off Huck. He did come within one game of tying to make it to the Final Four. So I'm pretty proud of him for it being his first LAN event. I've got to say, he did pretty good, in my opinion, at least.
Right. I mean, he did really well. I just think that, he could have even done better than that, and I think we should expect that from him in the future. He'll probably be winning a lot of events.
All right, Time. Well, I appreciate you being on the show. I look forward to meeting you in DC. I look forward to watching you guys play, and Idra doesn't win. That's my prediction.
I look forward to meeting you guys also. Thanks for having me on the show.
All right, that's going to wrap up our show, everyone. Thanks to the VVV sponsors, SteelSeries, Control Freak, MusicSkins.com, GamerLocals.net, and Custom Ink. Thanks to the VVV community for their feedback and support. Be sure to stop by our podcast homepage at vvvgaming.podbean.com. Also, subscribe to VVV Gaming on iTunes to follow both of our shows, Directional Influence and The Losers Bracket. Email us at thelosersbracket@vvvgaming.com or follow us on Twitter where we are known as Losers Bracket.
All right, guys. Anybody that's going to be in DC, we'll see you there. Just look for the Sea of VVV shirts. You will not be able to miss it. Also, Saturday night, this coming Saturday night, make sure to stop by Club District, downtown DC. We're going to be having a huge VVV Gaming meet and greet. Come out, hang out with us. It'll be the most fun you've had at a gaming event in ages. We will guarantee it'll be a great time.
All right, everyone, I'm going to be heading to Washington, D.C., our nation's capital, on Thursday, so I look forward to seeing you all there. This is going to be a huge turnout for VV Gaming, as usual, and I look forward to meeting many of our listeners, some of our players who I have not met before, and, of course, our fans. So thank you for listening.